Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be doing a collective reading. A reading for the collective, sorry. It's going to be a general reading. Spirit, what messages do you have for the collective? Spirit, what messages do you have for the collective? Spirit, what messages do you have for the collective? Spirit, what messages do you have for the collective? Spirit, what messages do you have for the collective? That is watching this video right now, is going to be watching this video right now. What messages do you have for the collective? 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 So here we have the Six of Swords, and in the picture, the depiction of the card, it has a boat with two people and someone that looks, in my deck, in this deck that I'm using, is someone that looks like an angel that's guiding them. Right now they're in rough waters and they're headed into smoother waters. We also have the Queen of Wands, which is a very highly spiritual card. And we have the Judgment card. So the message that I'm getting with this, there's someone who may be a fire sign, or it could just, the Queen of Wands could just stand for a passionate person that's driven, that's very spiritual. It seems like with this message that this particular person has been going through a rough time spiritually, but they're coming out, they're moving on to a clearer, smoother journey in their lives. The journey that they're leaving now, that they're leaving behind, was rough. It was difficult for them, stressful. It seemed like there was a whole bunch of blockages that were coming through. But the ancestors now for this particular person, or the angels, they're helping them get through this rough patch. Sometimes this happens to people to teach them a lesson. So yeah. Person is very spiritual. And gifted. What other messages do you have for the general collective? General reading. What messages do you have for the collective spirit? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? Page of Cups. Eight of Pentacles. This person may be having new ideas that they're currently working on. And Spirit says that this particular person is going to have like fulfillment in their life, completion. This is going to complete their journey. This is what the ancestors want for this person, to complete their journey in their life and go on to the next stages. This could also be grounding work that this person is doing. Maybe going to the parks where other people are, observing nature. Spirit, what other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? Spirit, what other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? If there was ever a doubt in this person's mind, if they're on the right track, you are on the right track. You are on the way to fulfill all your goals in life. Spirit is telling you to take risk, or you may be taking a risk. This journey that this person is taking, it's going to be something creative that they're doing. Maybe arts and crafts, or doing spiritual work. Making things. Whatever this is that this person is going to do, it's going to bring them a lot of profit along the way. A lot of wealth. Spirit, what other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? I'm hearing trust the journey. What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages? And the hard times are over. What other messages do you have to collect? Yeah, Spirit has been talking to you about this. You may have seen it in a dream. What destination you're supposed to take. And that dream was to help you make a decisive decision. Bring you a lot of clarity. Or it has brought you a lot of clarity. What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? Spirit, what else? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages do you have for the collective? What other messages. You may be going through like unnecessary I'm trying to think of the word. Excuse me, unnecessary drama with certain people. And it may cause baggage it may cause you to have unnecessary baggage. Spirit wants you to release all that baggage. So what we have here now is 8 of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, and Knight of Cups. Money and your money might have been like coming in slow. Ideas that you have come up with in the past might have not given you know, the wealth that you thought was going to come through. I think because this was a healing a healing era for you that you had to go through first before you gained the profit off of these ideas. But now, like I said before, the path has been cleared. Everything's going to be moving fast, but it's going to be easy for you because you know this already. This is a skill that you like. This is a skill that you enjoy. It could be in the healing industry, maybe holistic medicine, maybe holistic healing. You may be in the medical field, giving care, a nurse. Somewhere in the medical field you may be in. What is the advice do you have for the collective today? What is the advice do you have for the collective today, Spirit? What advice do you have for the collective today? What advice do you have for the collective today? What is the advice do you have for the collective today, Spirit? What is the advice do you have for the collective today? What is the advice that you have for the collective today? What is the advice do you have for the collective today? Listen. Put all the drama that you have with somebody aside. Let go of that drama. Advice is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to continue to pursue your dreams. There might be competition in this field that you're entering, this spiritual field. It's definitely a spiritual type of idea or a spiritual journey that you're about to pursue, or spiritual work that you're about to pursue. Spirit wants you to not be afraid. Don't be afraid of the competition. Continue to go about your dreams. There are brighter days in your future. And in the future, you will also have other creative ideas. So that is going to be the message today. Also, at the bottom of the deck, there's a Temperance card. Spirit put you through this journey. The journey that you're about to leave and the new journey that you're about to go in. He put you to a period of being calm, being humble, being patient. That's what he wanted you to work on. Being patient, not rushing things. Learning to be humble. And that is the message that I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please subscribe, comment, and share this video. I thank you. Ashe.